yes, football season is about upon us. 2 weeks from now, we will be in Oxnard for Dallas Cowboys training camp. The first practice is 2 weeks from today, and we have seen just in the last, 24 to 36 hours, this came out courtesy of ESPN. They do a survey every year, and they will go position by position and have league execs, coaches, scouts, what have you, weigh in on the best 10 players at each position. And Dak Prescott has yo-yoed his way in and out of this over the course of his career, but I don't think we've ever seen him as high on the list as he is this time around. Number 6 in the NFL at the quarterback position, and the names above him are all very, very impressive. He's making a more significant mark here later on in his career.
100%.
I think his highest ranking was 3 at some point. I don't remember what year that was.
It might have been 23.
After his near MVP season.
Yeah, I think so. But to your, it's fair point.
Yeah.
He generally is, call it what you want, but I think it's fair to say he is generally underrated as far as being considered a top quarterback in the NFL. Yes. The fact that he plays for America's team, I do think that almost hinders him a little bit, because if you are playing for the Cowboys, I think the expectation, or the narrative at least, is, well, you should be the best quarterback in the league. He's not that. I think objectively.
Why aren't you Troy Aikman? Why aren't you Roger Staubach? And
yeah.
Like that's the conversation rather
than
he's
and it's interesting
good.
because neither of those two quarterbacks, I don't think. Now, I wasn't alive during Staubach's career to have heard the conjecture and the year by year discussion about this, but you look back at his stats and who else was in the league at that time. I don't think either Aikman or Staubach were ever necessarily considered the best quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
And they were both very good. They were both very clearly elite quarterbacks that were key pieces of teams that could win Super Bowls. And but that should be the bar. To be the best in the NFL, that comes around once in a generation if you're lucky. Being good enough to win a Super Bowl, though, is the bar that Cowboys fans are forever going to judge anybody by, because they did live through, or at least some of them did, live through
that's becoming
the Staubach
a different ratio every year now.
I do think if Dak had trophies to his name, he would be considered differently in these rankings year in and out.
Look no further than Patrick Mahomes. Seriously.
But I think Patrick's skill set,
yes.
Like, he can do things, and he's shown over the course of his career in big games an ability to create something out of nothing at the quarterback position. But I would say the other side of that is, look at Josh Allen. Like, he is, in this year's rankings, he is number 1.
Yeah.
Right.
I think rightfully so, and he's never won a Super Bowl. But that's because he is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
Title or not. So that's where I don't know if Dak having one would ultimately supplement that argument.
But I'll give you a prime example where Mahomes is concerned. He hasn't been statistically great in 3 years. If we're being totally honest, based off of his standard that he set early on in his career, he has dipped significantly in 3 years, and he's 2 on this list because people know of his history.
He's still that dude. It's
right.
Their wide receiver core hasn't been the same. Kelsey's getting old. Like,
he got injured last year.
There are reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, to have him 2 on the list, I'm not saying it's sacrosanct, but it is saying trophies make a difference.
I do think, too, Patrick was one of the first to have that kind of new era skill set where he was such a good passer. He could throw the deep ball, but he could also run. And I think when you look at Dak's game, the running aspect hasn't been
changed.
As right.
Yeah.
And I don't think people, and just look at the stature. Like, Dak's a bigger guy than a Lamar Jackson, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and I don't think just physically, like, he's not the same type of quarterback. However, as we saw last year, he is incredibly good up here, and he's really good at diagnosing plays. And and when he has people around him and people in front of him to protect him, he can do a lot.
But that's been the difference, is he's grown into the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. He had the physical attributes early on in his career and was using his legs a lot more. Since that point, he has grown into the pocket passer and become that guy. And I'm just looking at it like, if you're asking the average person, there are 5 quarterbacks you're going to name. 4 of them are in the AFC. They're kind of the big 4 already. Josh Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, and Lamar. After that, you're going to throw Stafford in there because he's the reigning MVP. But if Dak's the next out of that group, that's a significant boon to his credit in terms of how people view him around the league.
He has the skill set. He has shown in multiple seasons now the ability to be an elite quarterback. He deserves to be in this collection of quarterbacks now. but now you do have to go prove it in the postseason if you want to really enter the elite of the elite. And that's the thing that is still missing for him. And until and unless he solves that piece of the puzzle, there's always going to be the but. He's a really, really good quarterback in this league. He has proven the ability to be elite. You got to get rid of the but.
Yeah.
Until that happens, it's always going to be there.